affects my life in the way that, it affects my life. I think it is my life. I think if I don't pray, then I'm not really in tune with the day. I'm afraid of going through a day without God's providence, going through a day without His help, and just going through a day trying to make it on my own. The Bible says not in man to direct his own steps, and so I'm afraid to almost approach any situation any day without prayer.
Well, I think it gives me a great deal of encouragement, and I do have more peace when I am in prayer. If we go to God with all things, and if we're thankful about those things, then God provides us a peace that transcends what we can understand.
You know, for me, prayer growing up was always mysterious and kind of confusing. I wasn't sure if God needed me to pray, wanted me to pray. I wasn't sure what to pray. I just knew that I was supposed to. Over the course of time, I began to learn really what prayer was for me and the purpose of it. And I began to shift not only my thinking in prayer, but just my devotion to it.
Well, I think prayer obviously connects us with God, and it's amazing that we can enter His throne room anytime we want to. I've sometimes illustrated it like we've got a cell phone, we can call God whenever we want to. I think it's great that we have that open line of communication whenever we want to use it. And so sometimes I have something happen during the day that causes me to want to visit with God about it, good or bad, and or some decision that's coming up, or something that's about to happen that I especially want to be in touch with God about. And so it's a line of communication.
I read my Bible in the morning, and that's the time that I generally consistently go to God in prayer. And I've also begun doing something else. The last few years I've been listening to my radio a lot less in the car and do a lot more praying in the car, even during those short trips.
For me, I know some people have times, they have, this is my spot, this is when I go. That doesn't really work for me. A lot of times, because of how I see prayer work in my life, sometimes it's a feeling that I have. It's a moment where I want clarity. It's a moment where I want to just get something off my chest. It's a moment when I'm feeling just uneasy, that I just want to press into God. And so I'll find times in my office to shut the door, or I'll go somewhere and just kind of express what's on my heart.
I usually always pray at night. It's just like the good Church of Christ thing to do, right? You pray in the evenings. Before I go to bed, just kind of to lay all my thoughts before Him and throughout the day. But oftentimes, especially in my job, there's just times when I'm just constantly talking to Him, constantly saying, help this student, help this situation. So I would say it's all times, but specifically it's evening.
And so I see God really working in that way in my life. It's just moving me to places where I can be an encouragement to someone's life. I can speak what's on my heart into their lives, and I can speak the gospel into their lives.
I'm an introverted person by nature, but having the opportunity through a cappella and other things to to express my faith in a more public way, and kind of giving me that foundation. I don't think it's a cop-out, but it gives me the chance to share my faith in ways that maybe I wouldn't be as comfortable with in a one-on-one kind of situation.
I think that in my job working with freshmen, it's very easy to try to do it all on your own and try to find solutions, but they're often not the best ones. So I know that when I can't solve everything on my own, I can't fix all the freshmen problems, I can't fix all the students' problems, there's got to be a higher hand at work here.
I think the fact that I have a life is evident that God is working. Small things like being able to have a job or have a car to drive or food to eat. You can ride down any city street and you'll see somebody suffering. Either they don't have anywhere to live, or they're asking for food. A lot of the small things that we take for granted, when you really just stop and take a look at how good you really have life, you can see God working.